Hi everyone, my name is Dearden. I'm the Digital Champion Coordinator for Citizens Online, managing our work in North Yorkshire. I'm delighted today to be speaking to you and sharing some learnings from Citizens Online work in the digital exclusion for the past 20 years. We are partnering with Community First Yorkshire to deliver this session. Community First Yorkshire supports the voluntary, community and social enterprise sector across North Yorkshire. Next slide, please. Citizens Online is a national digital inclusion and skills charity established in the year 2000. We work to ensure that no one is left behind in the digital world we now live in. We support adults across the whole of the UK to develop essential digital skills and confidence. We do this in two ways. We actually work with organisations to embed digital inclusion. And it's important to remember that when we talk about adults who lack digital essential skills, this can also include your staff. Our clients include local authority, health, housing association, and businesses such as banks and transport providers and third sectors. We work with individuals providing those in need with digital champion support. This can either be over the phone or face-to-face. On the next slide, you can see that this is a heat map for the whole of North Yorkshire. On this slide, it shows where those people who are digitally excluded actually live across our county. We go on to the next slide, please. Digital exclusion isn't only about whether people can access the internet, it's actually about their confidence or ability to use it. And you can see that on this slide. It gives some headline figures. On the next slide, what types of barriers do people face? The Lloyds Consumer Index shows that motivation is one of the key barriers to doing more online. Over 1/3 of those offline said that the internet doesn't interest them, and 48% of the digitally excluded said nothing could motivate them to get online. People could be on low incomes, therefore the devices are expensive, and connection, data, etc., actually all adds up. People who've been made redundant are really struggling if all their online activity was done at work, for example. People with a physical or learning disability may require support when using technology. 1 in 12 people have some sort of disability. People with a disability are 4 more times likely to be offline. There are many tools and adaptations which are available to help, such as adjusting the fonts on devices, making reading easier. Cognitive issues like memory impairment are also important to mention, plus mental health issues that may prevent use for some, and lack of broadband connectivity. Fear of the unknown is an overwhelming place for many. A lack of digital skills makes people lack confidence in using devices. Scams make people wary, understandably, safety and privacy issues. For some, the internet isn't a safe place, especially if you're fleeing from domestic violence. The internet requires a good level of reading generally. Voice control tools can actually help with this. The Digital Champions Network, you can actually find out more courses around how to find out more about barriers to help to support learners. Predominantly, as we know, much of the internet is in English by default. Knowing how to translate pages requires a bit of know-how. There are tools like Google Translate that can help. There are also online resources like English My Way and the British Council website. On the next slide, this gives you some challenges that people could also face as well, which actually stops them getting online. And there could also be some additional challenges and barriers to developing the digital skills compared with digital excluded people that are native English speakers. We move on to the next slide. On this slide, you can see around the digital skills can be a lifeline for people, and for people with high digital engagement, there are actually significant lifestyle and well-being benefits. On the next slide, we have a slide around digital champions. Digital champions are people who can help others with digital skills. Digital champions, it's really important to remember, are not IT wizards, they're not technical experts or an extension of the IT help desk. The digital champion approach is key to tackling digital exclusion, and we categorise them, as it's shown on this slide, 3 types. They are all needed at all levels of organisations. Digital champions should promote digital methods and ways of working. They may be in leadership roles or customer facing and could be anywhere in between. Volunteer digital champions are great, but managing volunteers is a full-time job and volunteers can't always be relied upon. Embedded digital champions work within organisations, often, but not always, in customer-facing roles. They are trained to support members of the public with digital skills, encouraging and supporting them to access services online. They may also support their peers to help with digitally upskilling on new software or devices. Peer-to-peer support and learning can be a very effective way of embedding new software within an organisation. Professional digital champions are employed to teach digital skills. Your organisation should consider all types, but the embedded ones, people who are allowed to have time to support people with digital skills as part of their jobs, are the most sustainable way to provide support. Also, every time you signpost a resident, a customer, or a client who needs help to do something online, say for example, to a session at 2 p.m. in the library on a Wednesday, you actually run the risk of losing them because people with low digital skills and confidence need multiple prompts and short, personalised support interventions. Next slide, please. Okay, so what is a digital champion? It's people who help others with digital skills, and you may be providing support already. Digital champions can be any of these, can be anything from a 5 minutes to help fill in a form through to longer term support, and it can be part of their job as a volunteer or employed as a digital champion. On the next slide, we can see that being a digital champion is person-centred support to empower people. Your role as a digital champion could be to support learners with getting started, and this requires good interpersonal skills first and foremost, not a techie know-how. It's about coaching people. This is a good term rather than a teacher, as you don't need to be an expert imparting knowledge, but rather the coach who motivates engagement. It's about encouraging people to practice and learn more using resources and information that you can signpost them to. YouTube videos are engaging and a great way to allow a learner to find their own way. Signposting to resources is a big part of being an effective digital champion. Assessing learner skills and learning styles is important, so you can tailor your coaching to their needs. Demonstrate relevant skills and apps that will be useful to them, how to find things using Google, showing them as well how to download an app such as the NHS app onto a phone, etc. Okay, so what makes a good digital champion? You can see on this next slide, being a digital champion, you can see that there are a number of different skills, and also individuals have different learning styles, which is really important to remember. So for example, I learn, it could be someone actually saying, I learn by doing no more than 2 steps at a time. It could be someone who's a visual learner, or could be audio as well. Okay, on the next slide. It's important as well, because a lot of people actually think, why do I need to get online? What is it that, you know, I need to do online that I'm not already doing? So getting someone online can be a real challenge at first. And it's important that now that many services are online, that digital doesn't exclude people. An individual may be asked to access the government services online, such as paying the council tax bill, or universal credit claims, or booking a doctor's appointment, as well as doing some online shopping. Providing remote support in these situations is really important, as well as the face-to-face element. It's about finding that hook. What is it that your learner is interested in doing online? Is it that you've got someone who really enjoys, say, for example, they might enjoy cooking, but they actually don't have the funds to actually go out there and actually buy a new recipe book? So it's about enticing them and showing them what they can be doing online for free that actually makes them feel better as well at the same time. And they've got getting some benefit out of it for them. So it could be anything from looking at the film times, as I've mentioned, cooking, to looking at recipes, shopping. There was one lady who, due to the pandemic, hadn't been able to go out to the shops, and she was really missing Marks and Spencer's. And when she was shown how easy it was just to have a browse online, and how easy then it was to actually look to buy some things and actually purchase this online, she was more, she was more motivated to actually start to learn about doing different things online. Social media, it's about social connections, so friends and family perhaps you haven't seen for a while. From a health point of view, it's, you know, I hear a lot, and I was running a session this morning where someone was saying, I can never get through to my GP, it's always busy. So then we got on to about, do you know about the NHS app and how easy that is to actually download? And they didn't. So by just showing them how easy it was, they were able to do that and relieve some of that pressure as well from the phone line. Government services, so things like universal credits, maybe looking at your pensions, that can all be done online. Reading, so reading whether it's through a Kindle or audio books. So on the next slide, it's about building trust and being transparent. So when you're working with a learner, technical problems may happen, and this is really okay. It's about being honest and just try to make the session as beneficial as possible. Some learners may shy away from having never used remote software before. It's about giving praise and encouraging them throughout that session. Keep the sessions engaging, therefore ask questions and encourage them to do the same. It will help them feel more comfortable and help the session to run more smoothly. Have your resources prepared in advance. These may be notes to help you talk to someone through joining the meeting, etc. So it could be something you might, you know, if you were thinking or looking at people within your organisation becoming digital champions and they're worried about being asked things they don't know the answer to, well, that's the same for any of us, isn't it? We just use Google, and by working with a learner and showing them where you're actually getting that information from can actually help them feel confident and comfortable that actually not everyone knows everything, and it's okay not to know everything, and that sometimes we have to navigate through things to find those answers. If it is that you're running a training session and you want to play that session to others, you need to make sure that they're happy for the session to be recorded, and let them know what you can actually see. Show learners how to switch off the screen sharing when you've finished helping them, especially if you're supporting them with things like online shopping, where they need to input private details that you shouldn't have access to. Okay, on the next slide. So some top tips. It's about use your active listening skills. What are you actually being asked to do to support? Are the person that you're working with, are they enthusiastic? Do they actually seem engaged? Or do they actually need a break? You've done 10 minutes. Now, I know 10 minutes to you or I might not be a long time, but to someone who's learning a new skill for the first time, that can be a long time. So do they need a break? Is it just a case of saying, just go and get a coffee, come back and we'll reconvene? Do they sound like they're following you? Show them how to do things in a step-by-step way. So if you're working with someone in person, and I know that, you know, there could be times where it is frustrating, that person's not getting it, and it could be quite easy just to say, give that to me and I'll do it for you. You should never take the device away from someone. You should actually let them do it themselves, so that you give them that guide, the step-by-step, on what key they need to press or where it is they need to look. Let them ask questions and ensure that they let them know that they can have as many sessions as they need. Don't pass judgment or comment. You know, if there's anything that you're struggling with or anyone around digital inclusion, then you can also contact myself if you're unsure of anything. If you do decide for yourself or someone in your organisation to become a digital champion, then through the North Yorkshire project, then you will have access to the Digital Champion Network, which also has a host of resources available online to you, and all of those are free. Make sure that your learner is benefiting from the session that you're running. You should also encourage the learner to take notes and give them time to do so. And try to adapt to their pace of learning, which will empower your learner to learn. Show the learner what the advantages are of technology or online systems that they're being shown. As I've mentioned before, don't do everything for the person that you're supporting, even though it could be tempted. And don't worry if you don't know the answer to a question. As I've mentioned previously, it's impossible for everyone to know the answer to everything. And don't be afraid, as I've already mentioned, to look that up online. And do not be put off if someone is not immediately interested. This is often through learning a new skill. It's not a rejection of your offer to help, but it could just be they need that time to reflect on what they're being told. Okay, the next slide. The Digital Skills for Life is actually a recognised government framework. The link to this is actually included at the resources at the end of this presentation. Around 1 in 5 adults don't have essential digital skills for life, and that's just from the age of 18 upwards, and sometimes it can even be the age of 16, depending on how they did in school. It's important to remember that this can also include the staff that work within your organisation. If your staff aren't confident, then it stands to reason that they won't be able to instill good digital practice onto your clients, residents, or customers. Digital inclusion must be part of the conversation from the very beginning when thinking about how to improve your services. The cost savings and customer satisfaction associated with moving services online is well documented. However, to be truly successful, you must make your services as accessible as possible for those who lack digital skills and confidence and/or who have accessibility needs. It's important to acknowledge there will also be people who can't do things online unaided. There are also people who don't want to do things online. This is and should remain a valid option. Okay, so on the next slide, you can see there's tips to embed digital inclusion. So digital inclusion should be understood and included in the culture of your organisation, ensuring buy-in from senior leadership. It's about raising awareness with staff in the hiring and onboarding process. Make sure you include the relevant skills in role profiles where appropriate, and also include the essential digital skills for life. Digital inclusion should be as well known and understood as the Equalities Act or the GDPR. Find out about the digital maturity of your organisation by conducting a digital maturity assessment. Include staff skills. What happens when someone says that they can't actually do something online? Do you provide support there and then, or do you signpost? How well do your staff and leaders understand your organisation's approach to encouraging digital services? How well does your board drive digital leadership? How well does your organisation use technology to support staff to do their jobs better? And how empowered do your staff feel to encourage innovation in the way they work to do things better or a more efficient way? What's the digital vision for your organisation? And is everyone truly aware of that? Act on your findings by supporting your staff and leaders with skill gaps. Communicate clearly to standardise the message of how you recognise someone with digital support needs and what happens next. Ideally, they will receive support from an embedded digital champion there and then. On the next slide, this is about supporting your digital champions is about having an understanding of the barriers as to why people lack digital skills. You are giving digital champions access to training and technology, information, best and shared practice opportunities. This could be about having knowledge of different types of kit, specific skills such as language, literacy, numeracy, accessibility needs, as well as access to local and national support networks outside of your organisation. For example, I'd mentioned the Digital Unite network. Could be specific messaging groups or any share and learn sessions. Ensure that you have a clearly defined and understood volunteer role. This may vary by organisation within a volunteering framework. For embedded champions, there may be opportunities to provide some support within their current workload. You and your digital champions need to be committed to tracking and reporting progress of participants. So when we talk about monitoring and evaluation on the next slide, you need to decide at the beginning what you will measure. Keep it simple, as it's always a struggle to get people to report, so make it really easy for them to do so. In many of our projects, we use what's known as an activity snapshot, where we ask digital champions to keep a tally of their activity for 1 week within a given time period. We use this to estimate activity. Design a learner entry and exit survey if you're working with a learner for a prolonged period of time. This isn't practical if it's a 5-minute intervention to teach someone how to, say, for example, make text bigger on the smartphone. However, this information could be gathered in a different way on an activity snapshot. Good news and success stories gives everyone a boost, so therefore gather case studies and quotes from learners. There is a lot of information about this on the One Digital website, which is also included in the resources at the end of this presentation. Okay, on the next slide, no one organisation can actually tackle this problem alone. Our approach in North Yorkshire is to work collaboratively with organisations and build a network of referrers and digital champion devices and data packages across an area. We've been working and supporting the North Yorkshire Reboot Scheme, which is about donated devices, then going back out within the communities to those individuals that are struggling to finance a device for themselves. More information about that can be found on the North Yorkshire County Council website under the Reboot Scheme. We've actually been working now in North Yorkshire for a year, and so far I've managed to train 134 digital champions, of which there's at least 110 of those are embedded in organisations across the whole of the county. I've been working with over 70 organisations, including all of the district councils across North Yorkshire, as well as voluntary organisations. We offer a free phone helpline, which is important, especially in rural areas or for those with caring responsibilities. Please do not, on the next slide, you have some contact details. Please do not hesitate to get into contact with our community support team at communitysupport@communityfirstyorkshire.org.uk if you require personalised support and guidance. The next slide lists a number of resources that I've referred to on today's presentation. Thank you everyone for listening today. Just to let you know, I do have a number of licenses so that people can become digital champions, and whether that's you individually or whether you're looking for your organisation, whether you want to embed a number of digital champions in your organisation to support people within North Yorkshire, then please do get in touch. I do have those licenses and they're paid for and they're valid until February 2023. Thank you for listening today. My details are on the next screen, and if you need any further information, either contact myself or Community Yorkshire. Thank you.
So I'm Carol. I'm one of the coordinators at Rydell Carers Support and also digital champion for Rydell Carers Support. So I've come to chat to you today just to tell you a little bit about what we've been doing to support our, we support carers, we support those that they care for, and we support anyone that's lonely and isolated. So during COVID, obviously we weren't able to go out and visit anyone. We couldn't do our activities, and we spent a lot of time phoning people. So we wanted to connect more with our clients and with our volunteers. So with the help of Citizens Online, we decided to help people with their technology. Next slide. So what did we do? So to help people to get more connected with us and with their families and with others, we borrowed some tablets from Citizen Online, and we lent them out to those people that wanted to try them. We started this with our clients initially. We had 3 or 4 people trying tablets, and then more recently we've been lending them out to some of our volunteers as well who want to be more IT that need a bit of support. So once somebody had had a tablet, we did this either remotely or when we were able to go out in person, we went out in person. So we went out and helped them and supported them to use the tablets to get to know them. In some cases we created an email. Some people already had emails, so we had to get those emails onto the tablet. Some people just needed a new one so that they could connect with family, friends, etc. A large part of what we did was downloading Zoom because we created some groups, and so a large part of what we did was downloading Zoom onto various laptops, computers, tablets. Every laptop, computer and tablet was different, so this was a little bit challenging. Sometimes we'd do it remotely, and sometimes when we could, we did it in person. So we got Zoom downloaded onto various laptops, etc. And then we helped people to access and use Zoom. So we did this by creating a Zoom, trying it out with them, and then getting them onto our group activities. And then anything else that anybody wanted to do with their technology, any help that they wanted, we either, we helped them with that, or we got them in touch with Citizens Online for any further help that they needed. So next slide. So how did we do this? So myself and another member of staff and 2 volunteers, between us we helped and supported over 20 people with their IT skills to grow more confident using their technology. This is an ongoing project. So we've now, I think at the moment we've got about 4 or 5 people that we're supporting. So yeah, and this will continue. Like I said, we started with our clients, and then now we're helping some of our volunteers who want a bit of help as well. So we use the Citizens Online website. This is really helpful for us to get the training and the resources that we needed. And we use the Citizens Online helpline. So if we're ever stuck, we could just ring them up and ask them for advice, or we could just go on the website and look for the information that we needed so that we could support our families with what they needed. We set up an online carer support group, an online walking group, and an online sing-along. We've currently got the walking group. We've got 2 walking groups with about 12 people on each, and we've got an online sing-along, which at the minute I think we've got about 20 people on it, and we're continually getting more people onto both of those groups, and we'll keep those going regardless of whether COVID's around or not. So this support was invaluable in helping our families to remain connected with us, and also remain connected with their family and their friends. And so the support that we've given has helped people to be more confident using their technology, and it's also helped them to access other services, for example, doctors. More recently, actually, we've been helping people to use the NHS app So that's one of the things we've started to do more recently. Next slide. So I just wanted to end by giving you a bit of feedback from our families. We've had some really good feedback from all the people that we've been supporting, and this is just a bit of some of the comments that people have said. Having a tablet has been very useful for keeping in touch with people. I use Messenger to connect with friends and family. I use YouTube to listen to music and attend the virtual walks and sing-alongs. It's really helped me to connect with others. I feel a lot more confident using IT and it's come in handy for using for other things, for example, appointments with specialists. Next slide. Being able to attend the events has brought me back into having a bit of a social life. It's nice to be able to attend something. I really enjoy the sing-alongs, particularly the bit where the musicians play, as I find this very relaxing. Being a carer, it's nice to have a moment to listen to some relaxing music. And I really enjoy the virtual walks. I was a big walker and really look forward to them. I also really appreciate the contact I've had since my husband died. So as you can see, we've had some really good feedback. The people that we've helped are really, appreciative. And even though, it might not have been a lot that we've done, they're really, really, really appreciative for what we have done. Next slide. So we had like 2 volunteers that were really, really good in helping. We have now just got a couple more volunteers which are going to help us as well, which is great. But the volunteers have got as much out of helping the people as the families have. So this is just a bit of feedback from our volunteers. We've got one lady said, I've really enjoyed helping people. They've been so grateful for my help, and yet it's been very easily given. I have enjoyed being able to make arrangements with the clients which fit in with my own commitments. I've used Zoom in a work environment, but never with Android tablets. It has been interesting to discover how to use Android tablets and often amusing to discover how they work alongside the client. And one of our ladies said, overall, I don't feel like I did much, but it's really nice to know with my little contribution that they could join in with the activities. So like I said, all this work that started during COVID will continue, and it's been really good to have all the resources from Citizens Online and the helpline, so that if we do get a client that wants something quite tricky, then we just go to Citizens Online for the help that we need. And I think that's about everything that we've been doing. So thank you very much.
So yes, well, first of all, thank you for the invitation. My name is Richard Holmes, Dr. Richard Holmes, and I'm a volunteer digital champion. I've worked with computer systems for far longer than I'd care to recall, quite frankly. But I saw the digital champions advertisements and thought this is something I can get involved in. I understand that not everyone enjoys or wants to connect with technology, but there is an element that the information is there, there's a lot to offer, but the hurdles are quite significant. Because of my background, I know how to present materials in certain ways. I try my best. It doesn't always work, not to be condescending and patronizing. And I try and facilitate the understanding and comprehension of these more difficult areas. Sometimes it's a case of just finding the right direction, the right hook to grasp somebody. I feel that somebody needs an incentive to access technology, the internet, that sort of thing. And one of the benefits with the Digital Champions scheme and Citizens Online is that people come to us with a problem, with a requirement in place, first of all. So that makes our life a little bit easier. It means that they've come to us saying, I want to know how to do this or access X or Y. And that's a really good starting point. It does make things a lot easier when there's a requirement, a particular need, but one of the biggest difficulties is the number of background actions which need to be performed to ensure that the learner's hardware is connecting properly in the first instance. This is often done over the telephone in the first instance with phone calls, assessing the state of play, if you like. But one of the biggest issues which has happened due to the COVID lockdown is this need to do things remotely. This has meant that we've had to talk learners through teething problems, through troubleshooting their hardware. That can be exceptionally frustrating. Once these things are all in place, however, moving forwards, there are plenty of opportunities for engagement. Personally, I've worked with a number of different people all over the country, various problems being accessing photography to email and scan pictures, people without a computer who need something replacing, various problems troubleshooting machines. There's a whole range of different areas which have been exceptionally beneficial to learners, and I've thoroughly enjoyed assisting them in this respect. I think a lot of people are intimidated by people with knowledge on computer systems, and I tend to like to use the acronym GFJI. Just flipping Google it, or however else you may choose to refer to that. There is a lot of information there. Sometimes you have to know where to look. Sometimes you need that pointer to know how to get that information. All an experienced user does is search for the information and apply it. People are concerned when they've got technology that they might break it, but the chances of them doing that is quite slim, and that's something which is important to emphasize. Personally, I've had a fantastic time working with digital champions. I found it exceptionally useful, and I think I've made a difference to people. I'm really happy to do so, and looking forward to carrying on.